In some of our early courses in art school, we would sometimes get an assignment called an "in the vein of" project, where we'd create our own original artwork, but in the style of another usually famous artist. Now this is different than something you may have already heard of, called a master copy, where we would try to literally copy an artwork of a master artist, using the same media and techniques as the original piece. Now, I didn't go to film school, but I imagine film students had similar projects, mimicking master movie makers to learn from them. God knows Quentin Tarantino learned how to film make by copying every other filmmaker. But what about for YouTube? YouTube as a medium has been around long enough now to see the development of distinct visual standards for certain YouTube genres. Much the same way different film and television genres have different visual languages. There are plenty of YouTube channels dedicated to analyzing film and television, but as far as I know, nobody has very few channels have an aggregated anthology of analyses of several other YouTube channels or genres, because what psychopaths would subject themselves to that kind of torture? So that's what I want to do. I want to study different YouTubers' filmmaking styles to understand what works and what doesn't, depending on their genre, and present my findings to the masses.
So you've taken a hobby that millions of people enjoy casually every day and turned it into a stressful academic exercise.
That's correct, Soren Bowie. I already spend most of my free time on YouTube anyway, so I might as well use my self-proclaimed exhaustive knowledge of the YouTube landscape for good. I want to use my artistically trained eye to help consumers of online entertainment have a deeper appreciation for the content they watch. But if I'm being honest with myself, I just don't want all the time I've spent watching mind-numbing drivel that is ultimately inconsequential in the grand scheme of things to have been for nothing. At least that's what I keep telling myself to rationalize taking on this project. And post! Now, fans making video homages to popular YouTubers is nothing new, but I doubt most of those fans were intentionally trying to study the YouTuber's content for their own potential future creative endeavors, though that probably naturally happened as a side effect. There have also been plenty of attempts to offer actual paid courses with the goal of teaching people how to YouTube, with varying degrees of educational, economic, and/or ethical merit.
You guys got scammed?
But that's not what my videos are going to be about. Here's my plan for how this video series will play out. First, I'll pick a YouTube genre, be it DIY, product reviews, ASMR, makeup tutorials, or even vlogs. And then I'll research the entire breadth of creators on the platform to determine who I think is the best in their respective genres. Then I'll make 2 videos in the vein of that creator. The first video will just be like a normal video you could very easily imagine that creator making. Just like the in the vein of projects I had in art school, except, in video form. Then the second video will be a breakdown of why I think that particular creator is the best in their genre, as well as diving a little bit into the history of said genre and what I learned while filming and editing the first video. Now, I already made the first 2 videos in this series about the tradesman world of YouTube, so if you want to get an idea of how this video series will play out, click up here if you want to see those videos. Here's a clip. Tradesman world of YouTube is kind of bland. From a video production / filmmaking standpoint, I mean. Even channels with unmistakably larger production end up looking like clones of their TV show counterparts. Those videos are also a good introductory course to this series, as I talk about some of the differences between traditional media and online entertainment. And my first victim already approved of my shenanigans, so I take that as a sign. A sign of what? I don't know. It's a sign of something. Now, there are a couple of points I want to make clear, just so I don't feel like I have to repeat myself in all these videos. But that may happen anyway, since I sometimes don't know when to stop when I'm talking about something I'm obsessive about. I want to focus mainly on individual creators, not necessarily teams of multiple people working for a single channel or group of channels. It's not that channels with larger scale production are less deserving of analysis. I might dedicate separate videos to just those types of channels. But for this video series, I'm essentially applying auteur theory to YouTube. So I'll mainly focus on channels with 1, maybe 2 people at the helm of the entire creative process. And just because a YouTuber has a higher subscriber count, has an attractive personality, or uses expensive equipment to produce their videos, does not necessarily guarantee that I'll view their filmmaking skills as better than a lower sub count YouTuber who only shoots with their phone or even a webcam and edits their footage with a toaster. Using nicer gear might indicate that they have more experience, but generally speaking, it's what they do with the gear they have that ultimately matters more in my analyses. And on that note, I'm only examining channels or creators from a purely artistic / filmmaking point of view. Whether the content of their videos is any good is a totally different matter, though I may still touch on that in my videos. So just because I admire a YouTuber's cinematography and or editing skills does not mean I endorse their content or the message of their videos, or anything they may or may not be accused of or convicted of in their personal lives. Lastly, and this is arguably the most important point to keep in mind, I am just one person. Though I promise to do my best to scour the entire YouTube landscape for the best of the best per genre and rationalize my arguments for why certain creators' filmmaking punches higher than others, I cannot promise that I will always get it 100% right. See, all of this is just an illusion to get you to think I'm smarter than I actually am. I'm also fully aware that I am not a natural when it comes to acting and or, well, speaking. So you'll please have to forgive me if my stage presence on video isn't up to your standards. Though I'm sure I'll get plenty of comments telling me if and or when that happens regardless. Oh, that already happened. I don't know what I was expecting. Anyway, just know that I'm giving it my darndest, so, you know, throw me a bone here. Speaking of comments, let me throw it to you guys. What do you think about the idea for this video series? Also, I'd love to hear your suggestions for creators that you want me to look at. Just tell me their channel name and what genre of videos they make, and I'll do my best to look into them. Yes, I am using commenters to do some of the research for me. That's not being lazy, that's just smart. Don't roll your eyes at me. I know you all would do the same. The thing is, I have a full-time job and other obligations outside of making videos. So the timeline of getting these videos done will be very variable. But I'd love to be able to do this full-time. So if you want these videos to come out with any more regularity, then consider supporting me on Patreon. Even if it's just what's up? Forget the line? It's even if it's just $1, every little bit is appreciated. No, I remember the line. It's just I just feel awkward asking strangers to fund what is essentially an expensive hobby for me. Dude, that's how almost every YouTuber got their start. Besides, these videos are all going to be free to watch regardless of patronage, so it's completely voluntary if somebody wants to support you. If that makes you feel any better. Yeah, I guess so. Got everything? Start again from the top of the last paragraph, just for safety. Speaking of comments, let me throw it to you guys. What do you think about the idea for this video series? Also, I'd love to hear your suggestions for creators you want me to look at. Just tell me their channel name.
If you originally came to this channel for the My Worst Critic series, don't worry, that isn't dead. But, full disclosure, his focus for the foreseeable future is going to be the In the Vein Of series. Because, well, the numbers don't lie. Now, we do have some footage shot for the next MWC episode, so we are still working on it. But again, it's going to be mostly it, though, going forward. I want this guy to be a full-blown content creator, so we gotta play the YouTube game. At least for now.
Are you even monitoring the audio right now?
Yeah, of course I was. Sounded good. Alright, let's set up the next shot.